Hey Mark, just finishing up the check set for Murillo. Found a couple pretty minor changes, but there's a couple that so it's gonna have to go back to India. Um, so let's get started. Okay, so one thing was that the siding on here on this little gap area is still showing 4-inch siding. So we have to change that to 8-inch, add a couple labels. I think it was under labeled just when we're dealing with different siding material. A for the takeoff, and then B for also um, the just indicating what dimension of siding, of exposed siding there is. I think it's probably worth it to to do a lot of labels, and there's nothing on this level, so I think it's worth noting. This is going to change, and then the project we still don't have, and they even circled it, but just giving in the address for the project here. Again, adding a couple more labels. We don't indicate the roof pitch here, so that needs to get indicated. I thought a couple more arrows. This isn't indicated, like the slope on this or the direction. Not that it's going to be terribly, I just think it'll help a little bit with clarity. It should say overhang. I do think we want to indicate this overhang dimension here because it is different, and then showing a couple more typical overhangs would probably be a good idea. Let's see. Oh, I think this would be a little confusing. I'm sure they do it on site, but to show this as one, you're not going to be able to fit, what is that, like an inch wide thing of siding, lap siding between this. So I just made a note to combine this into one piece of trim, not two separate things for the windows. Again, adding a little more information on the siding. This was actually incorrect. So the siding here is supposed to be 4-inch, and it's not, so that's going to reflect in the takeoff. So we need to change that. And then I was also just thinking, and I don't know if we do this, this is more really of a question for you. It looks really like these look really small on the sheet. I think it was probably like really close to being able to fit this on the smaller sheet. I don't know. This just looks really tiny to me. So I don't know if we even have a view that is, what would it, maybe 3/16 or something. It just looks like a ton of white space to me. So probably not a big deal, but figured I'd ask. Everything looked good on the ground floor. One thing is we don't indicate that where what is slab or what the edge of the slab is. I do think it is in the model. Let's see. Yeah, so I think it's all slab. So it looks like it's all 4-inch slab. Yeah, it's all 4-inch slab on there. I think it probably is worth it to put a label there, just because that's going into the takeoff. So yeah, I'll add a note for that. Missing a couple dimensions here. I don't know actually, like for this and for downing. This is indicated as like one really thick wall. I think we at least want to show what the dimension of this will be. I know we're showing in a lot of cases, we're showing the dimension going from, the interior of this wall to the exterior or to the outside of sheathing, which I think is the point of that is to indicate how thick this exterior wall is. But I think it would probably make sense here to show this separate because I'm guessing this is not going to be actually built as a 12-inch wall. Like it's probably going to be a double wall here, and it would probably just make sense so they can space it out. I would I would think. It just seemed a little bit confusing to me. Um, there was a label or two in here that was off. I think this is supposed to be a linen closet or linen cabinet like this, but it's just indicated as L. So I don't know if that's clear with the builder. It just wasn't super clear to me. Again, this is another thing that was just didn't come across as being that clear. It seemed a little confusing. I know this is all going to go to the engineer, so it's probably not super important, but I feel like if it's labeled in here, it's probably better to be as clear as we can versus not so clear. This also needs another label. But we're indicating these headers. I would assume that if this is being built, it's going to be one continuous header from here to here over these four openings or three openings. But it just seems funny the way that there's one header indicate or one label here, uh, but not here, but it's here. It just seemed a little confusing, so I just made a note to make it less so confusing. And let's see, anything up here? Oh, so this came up again. This is it, and I looked in the model again. It's really weird how they, or how it's sorry, not trying to blame anyone, but it's just a little strange this the way these stairs are drawn. It's all line work, and it doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Sorry, it's not that it doesn't make it. It does. It's not that it doesn't make a ton of sense to me. The way this is drawn doesn't make sense. I mean, it's indicating like a down arrow, and then we have our cut line indicated here, and then we have stuff above. So, I mean, this is kind of reading as you're going down, and then all of a sudden you pop up over into the attic. It's just not drawn accurately. So I think we really ought to start using the modeled element. And I sent a little correspondence with Hugo to try to update the template. The way it's drawn in the template isn't super clear, so I think we could clear that up a little bit. I'm not sure if we did the update yet, but this is just really weird the way that that's drawn. So let's see, is that everything? This dimension, I think we want this to be 3/6 versus this 3/5 and 3/8. I think this is probably just pushed in a little too far, so it just needs to get pushed out. And then I just wanted to see a dimension there. I think that's probably useful to see. This also seems weird that it's coming out beyond the wall. And we should have a dimension here. So I'm going to add a couple more notes, but that's pretty much everything. Nothing too major. One thing I did want to check with you on, and I checked on downing. This is what we did too. We do have an even dimension here. We don't have our 9 foot 1 1/8, which I'm assuming is for, I think this is going with the floor assembly, so it's probably it wouldn't matter in this case. And the 1'4" is, I'm guessing, built into the floor assembly. Yeah, I think it is. But just something that seemed a little odd looking at here, but just wanted to confirm this more with you than anything else. Okay, thanks, Mark.